All right, all right. Hello, beautiful souls. Is our mic on? I'm not sure. I gotta check it. And what we're doing today is we're gonna go through this upcoming Venus North Node Neptune conjunction in Pisces happening February 1st of 2025. So today's video, we're going to go through that. We're going to go through what it means for each sign of the zodiac, starting with Aries and going through Pisces. So if you want to know what's going on in the cosmos, you are in the right place. Welcome to everyone jumping on live. If you're catching the replay, don't be too bummed that you didn't make the live because these are designed to be watchable after the fact. They're made for that. So just know that you're still going to get all the information that you would have got if you were here live. So there's that. Also, quick announcement. I have got a video out right now that you can purchase that is a video on blocks to blessings. So you can actually get this reading if you want to know what in your natal chart is like a block to you or a challenge. And then if you also want how to use it for your highest good, what's good about it, etc. So in this video, what I do is I look at your chart personally and make you a video. You get a link to the recording and you get sorry, I got distracted. Okay, so you get a link to the video, you get to watch it, and you get insight from me on what is kind of like the biggest challenge in your chart that I see just at first glance, how it feels to go through that, and then what you can do with it or what's good about it when possible, how to work with it if it ever gets better, the good side, all those things. All right. Hello, everybody. Lisa's here. Hello to everyone else who's jumping on. All right. So because we're in mid-January of this year, I do want to point you to a couple of recent videos. There's one in particular, actually, if you missed it, is still going to be really helpful in dealing with the energy because I'm going into February now. So if you're like, wait, what about now? If you're like me and you're like, what's happening today and tomorrow? There is a recent video on, let me see, it was actually on the nodes. What's it called? The nodes enter Pisces and Virgo. Okay, I streamed it on December 8th. It is still, and right now, because the nodes actually moved on January 11th to new signs. It's kind of a big deal. The nodes are kind of a big deal. Although they're subtle energy, we don't always feel them instantly. Still, it's a very strong energy signature, if you will, of what's happening the next year and a half. And it affects everyone differently based on your rising sign. So if you want to know how it's going to affect you, then watch that video after this one. Okay, so what we're doing today is you guys, we're going to go through from Aries to Pisces, and I'm going to tell you what this February Neptune North Node conjunction with Venus is going to be. And this is kind of significant. We're just on this little alignment. It just so happens that on February 1st, the moon passes all of that stuff too. But whether the moon is there or not, we've got North Node, Venus, and Neptune in Venus's exaltation, right? Because Venus is exalted in Pisces. So, and with the North Node makes it more. So this can be challenging or positive, but really we're looking at, when Neptune and Venus combine, I think of perfume, I think of things that are soft and feminine, but they're also alluring and kind of take you to another place. They're like things that are Pisces energy is, there's an easiness to Pisces energy. I'm not talking about Pisces being easy. I'm talking about the way they're easy to be around. in general. Not always. Sometimes, I have a Pisces moon. We can be crappy too. Every sign can be crappy too. But wherever we have, like for example, wherever we have Pisces in our chart or wherever we have Neptune is an area of life we want it to be easy. We prefer ease. So if you have like Neptune in your fifth house, you will be sex positive. You are not going to want to date someone who's like telling you all these rules or judging you. You want it to be open and easy and free. If you have Neptune in your second house, you want money to come easily. You don't want to have to think about it. If it's in your seventh house, you want the white picket fence, And when Neptune's in the seventh, I always tell people like that's the placement of knowing that even the white picket fence has to be painted, right? Because that sometimes where we have Neptune, we want to imagine and we can get lost in fantasy and we don't always want to see the reality. And that's the hard part of Neptune is that it distorts or it blurs things a bit and it numbs us a bit. And we can be a little bit of a space cadets. But when we're thinking of things that, why is Venus exalted here? We're thinking of things that Pisces rule or Neptune rules or Venus rules that like, why does it go so well? Well, because you can give a vibe. You can create a scene, you can paint a story, you can, take someone to another realm and just bring all these feelings that, there's a beauty in deception if it's like a movie and you're cool with it and you know what you're getting into, or if it's like an event you go to, or if it's just the design of a space you're in, it's like, it's a nice vibe. Right? It's deception when it's like a person and you think they're someone and they're not, or something like that. So, getting into what this means for everyone, let's go right into what this means for Aries. And I want to say hey to Lisa and hey to Dora for being here and saying hello in the chat. And let's get into, we're going to just start with the first sign here. Whoops. Which is going to be Aries. So, we're going to go from Aries to Pisces. So for Aries, for February 1st, 2025, we have this happening in the 12th house. So the North Node has entered the 12th house. The South Node has entered the 6th house. You can watch the video on that for more, but overall, it's more 12th house stuff and less 6th house stuff. So maybe you want spiritual chores and you're focusing on growing your psychological well-being. You might focus on, healing or connecting with spirit guides at this time, or there might be a little bit of checking out from reality a little bit, because sometimes the 12th house has this element of like, I think of the 12th house like the ocean, right? Where it's like the subconscious mind is like an ocean and there is technically an end, but it's vast. The sea is vast. There are many things in it. You don't always know what you're going to find down there in the deep, dark places of the ocean, just like our psyche. But the thing is with Venus and Neptune here, this would be the spoonful of sugar that helps a medicine go down, like at a therapist's office, for example. I'm not diagnosing anything, but it's kind of like the ease, like you're thinking about something that you need to change, or you see self-sabotage in a new way. And it's like, oh, okay, you feel good about the process of figuring it out. It's like doing hypnotherapy and like enjoying the journey into wherever the hypnotherapist guides you to and like loving the journey, while Saturn is in the 12th house here saying, hey, we got to deal with our psychological stuff. And the thing about Saturn going through our house is it will only bring up the problems that already exist. So it's different for everyone. But it's also, Saturn going through the 12th could also be like a getting sober transit for some people, or a sobering experience, or dealing with grief, right? So Aries might be dealing with these things. Now, there could be positive stuff here too. This could be some Aries going to a thing where there's monks and they go and they like have this whole experience and it feels so good to be in these subtle energies, right? Where the monks are like chanting and it's like, you can't really put your finger on what they're doing, but it's cool. It's cool. You can feel the vibe. You really can. I've gone to it before. And it's like, you don't really know, like they're doing something. They're doing something and it's like bringing energy and it's chanting and it's kind of weird, but it brings that vibe, you know? So it could be something like that around the first for Aries, but let's consider the house ruler of Venus in particular. So Venus is ruling the seventh house and it's also ruling the second house. So it's the money planet in the 12th house conjunct the North Node. Interesting. So this could, this is, okay, this is different because it's like, I lost money one time when my second ruler was in the 12th, and it was because I bought something. I bought two things I shouldn't have bought. And so you could call that I know it's not me, just me, but you could call it self-sabotage with money. Lack of, the Venus being in the 12th, kind of like, oh, you can't see your money as clearly as you normally would. That's kind of the thing about 12th house planets. Okay. So what are we going to do when we can't see our money as clearly as we normally would, but we have it conjunct the North Node, which is the head of the dragon, which makes it hungry. Maybe you'll spend a shitload of money on something you don't need, Aries. So just watch out for that. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but if you're someone who really likes to go by astrology, the reason I'm so comfortable sharing that is that I'm just going to see, is that on the 4th, Venus is out of that 12th house. So if you're like dying to buy something, I would actually if it was me, and it's like a big purchase, I would wait. Just because I have had that experience, and I regretted it on both things. One thing I bought that if I just waited, would have got such a better deal on it. And then the other thing was a complete loss, and I should not have done it. Like, I just should not have done it. Anyway, back to what else could be here. Well, Venus, there could be some nice things going on for Aries, especially in the love department or even just the romance department, because at this time we have your seventh ruler, which is Venus, in the 12th house, conjunct the North Node. The 12th house is also the house of bed pleasures. So Venus going through the 12th can be a time where you are enjoying yourself in private. And the North Node can make that more. Okay, and Neptune there probably doesn't hurt for the most part because it just makes things easier, okay? But here's the thing I would watch out for during this time, and that would be not knowing who your partner is or being deceived. So because Venus with Neptune, it will create a nice vibe. So it's like a really, really nice date with someone who the next day you wake up and they don't even look like that or something, something that you didn't know that later you learn. And so we all kind of have to go through life and, figure out how to, make sure we know the person to the degree that it makes sense to, have whatever experience that you would have. And so that being said, Venus conjunct Neptune. It's possible, like worst case scenario for Aries on this, I'm going to give you this. This would be like going to Vegas and losing your wallet because you got so drunk and Neptune dissolved your money. But it could go either way. I think for Aries in a relationship, it might actually be a nice date day to like set the vibe. Or if you're in a relationship with someone who's into healing, it might be a nice time to do healing things. It also might be a nice time for Aries to just enjoy yourself alone and like watch a psychological thriller or journal or do some kind of therapy or healing modality that really will take you into the subconscious realm, because Neptune will make it easier to sort of like like it'll just bring that like softness and ease to going to the subconscious mind anyway. But it could also, again, just be like a time where you put on the music and listen to it and it's all good. So, and then I noticed there's a comment saying I'm definitely not getting sober. That's fine, but for some people this would be a sobering transit with Saturn in the 12th, because sometimes there are consequences, and that's the thing that Saturn does in a sign, is it will bring you It will bring you some consequences if you have things in your life related to that house that are not as they should be. So if somebody is overdoing it, they could get in trouble during this time because Saturn will say no. Saturn will say stop. So that's why I use getting sober as an example. And not everyone needs to get sober, but everyone has some kind of way that we self-sabotage or that we escape or that we cope with things that maybe isn't that ideal. And when Saturn's here, Aries are going to have times where maybe they will get more consequences for that. But the thing is, remember, Saturn brings good and bad consequences. So if you're doing a bunch of really strong meditating, or you're getting your spiritual or subconscious life right, then those consequences can be positive too. All right? So that's good for Aries, I think. Let's go on to the next sign, which is going to be Taurus. So for Taurus, we have the Venus, North Node, and Neptune conjunction happening in your 11th house. And that's going to be your house of fun. So at least we have, sorry, no. I always say that. The 11th and 5th are both very like fun houses, but the 11th is more like the house of community. And people will say it's your friends, but your friends can also go in other houses, especially your one-on-one friends are going to be, you're going to see them in the 3rd house and the 7th house. But your community of friends, your community around you, your group that you belong to in any capacity, that's the 11th house. So Venus, Neptune here with the North Node could be, around February 1st. Tauruses are going out, they're getting all dressed up, and they're being seen somewhere where they need to like look their best or dress really fancy or something. It could also be Venus and Neptune could describe your friends, your community at this time. So like going to an event where everyone's painting, going to a paint and sip or something like that, right? Because it's like going to your friend's house and watching a movie. It could be something as simple as that. But for the bigger life things, we're going to see Venus here will be good for friendship. Even though Saturn is here creating some sense of isolation, sometimes with Saturn in the 11th, you're not isolated, but you are committed to a group and you're the one working on behalf of a group. You are making a sacrifice for a group or stepping up to some responsibility in a group. And sometimes that can be really enjoyable. It doesn't have to be bad just because it's Saturn. You might enjoy like having some kind of community service position or, like helping others or something. You might hate it. We don't know. But you have Venus, Neptune here. So Venus ruling the 6th house and also ruling you kind of does suggest that you might be more social, more group focused during this time. And with the Neptune and the North Node conjunct Venus, it does feel like you are getting, almost like you're getting Neptuned. So what are you getting, Taurus? Are you getting stoned with your friends? Are you getting drunk? Are you getting your face painted? Are you going somewhere to something that relates to film or relates to, like art especially is coming up strong, art or even music or something. Are you going to a concert? That could be it. Taurus could be going to a concert because Venus being you, it's like you're in that 11th house of community, going to a concert, doing a hypnotherapy thing in public or something, but like a group one or something like that. Okay, what else can be going on here? Well, because Venus rules the 6th house, so that's going to be, the 6th house is kind of like, it can be our pets, it can be our day-to-day work, it can be our chores, but when it's up there in the 11th and it's exalted and it's happy, it kind of gives the feeling that your day-to-day responsibilities might be going pretty nice at this time. So you may have had, this is the first, right? So like, I'm actually going to put it back to today Because right now we have Venus separating from Saturn here in Pisces. So let me get it back though. So it's already in its place where it does well, but being right up against Saturn kind of does kill the vibe a little bit. Saturn's definitely a vibe killer here. And so what we see then is like from right now until February 1st, there might be a little bit of a gradual shift toward more better vibe in your day-to-day life. And Taurus says today or tomorrow, you might just have something that you have to do in your day-to-day time where you have to kind of bite the bullet and just do it, and it's not enjoyable, but you just got to get it done. It could totally be that. All right, so then I'll check the comments after Taurus here. So then let me see if there's anything else Taurus should know about this. Yeah, just that I mean for everyone, I think this transit can be positive. If you're if you're trying to like get something accomplished, like let's say you have to paint your house. This could be like a house painting party. It could be something where there's a thing you have to do that you need to get done, and around early February is the time that the community can come together and it can get done. Yeah, so that's what I have for Taurus. Okay, so I said I was going to check the comments. Oh yeah, Lisa, I do have a video on Neptune in the houses, if you haven't seen it yet. Doris says, good thing I'm thrifty. And Doris says, no, Vegas. That's funny. I applied for an apartment, looked at my local astrology for the town. Neptune line runs through the building. That's wow. I live close to my Neptune line here in this city. I'm not a fan at the moment. I'm not a fan of the Neptune line, but everyone's different. You know, for some people, the Neptune line is going to just give you the right amount of chill. Oh, hey, this is getting better. Then discovered a dispensary down the street named Pluto. Oh my God. That's insane. I love it. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dora and Lisa, for chit-chatting there. I'm going to get back to it. Okay, so here we are. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I'm going to do these really quick. We're on Gemini. Okay, so for Gemini, we have the North Node Venus Neptune influence around the 1st of February happening in your 10th house of career. So this might just be a time where you are enjoying your work when Venus is going through the 10th. Now, right now, it's the 18th of January. As of right now, Venus is there in the 10th house, but it's conjunct Saturn. So it's almost like maybe you enjoy your work, but there's a bunch of hard stuff to it. Or maybe you are being really cramped. You know, it's like it could be both though, right? It could be that there's some structure and some discipline and some long-term influences of things you have to step up to in career right now, but then Venus softens things a bit. Maybe there's friends there with you, or good music, or a beautiful aesthetic, a nice vibe, something good about it. So Venus conjunct the North Node will probably have you focusing on your external world, you focusing on your reputation, your legacy, your public life, and what impact you're making in the world, what you're doing for others, how you're helping the world, what the world wants from you, and how you're fulfilling that. But then with Venus ruling the 5th house, I like this for you because the 5th house is the fun house and it's in its exaltation. So maybe you are literally having fun at work, but maybe also you are spearheading or even just doing some kind of creative thing where you get to be yourself. You get to have some kind of self-expression going on. Now, keep in mind that self-expression is going to be different based on what you do, right? If you work as an artist versus if you work with spreadsheets, you know, the artist is the art, But like if you work on spreadsheets, maybe your self-expression is that you get to edit the spreadsheet. You know what I mean? So like tailor it to what makes sense in your life, what self-expression means to you based on your personality. And that can be also self-employment for my Geminis who are self-employed. You guys could be taking something on or really pushing some self-employment thing forward at this time as well. But really, Venus Neptune in the 10th is going to bring some, probably some good vibes to the workplace, but there's also a chance that this is going to feel slightly disorienting or confusing, or you could feel, the thing about just Neptune in the 10th in general is that you can feel like you are on the wrong track when you're right where you're supposed to be. You can feel like you're unsure about the future, but like you could actually be doing the exact right things. And with Jupiter in your sign right now, it does feel like this is a time of growth and expansion, but that Jupiter is going to really sort of take on a different kind of influence, a forward moving influence in February. And so if things aren't quite being pushed forward all the way yet, don't think this is the last chance. I will probably do a video on Jupiter going direct because that is like an important moment in the timeline here, especially when it's in your first house. So it's like you're gathering, almost like you're taking things in or taking things on or learning or growing in some way, but it's, sorry, it's maybe not externalized yet. Maybe it's still sort of cultivating and developing, and there will be a moment where that can possibly be externalized in the future. So I think, what else does Venus rule though? I think, I didn't talk about that. The 12th house ruler in the 10th. Sometimes this is where, yeah, it could be that there's something you've been working on behind the scenes that becomes visible at this time. The 12th house stuff is like the work you do behind the scenes, or it can be negative too, like your secrets become visible, but I think it's more like maybe you are making something that was private and choosing to bring it into public at this time. That could be anything. So it's probably more likely showing up at work though. Maybe it's a crush. If you have a crush on someone at work, maybe your crush figures it out at this time. I don't know. But it might not even be that, right? Because the 12th house just rules like our subconscious mind and our spiritual side. And your spiritual side is right there, the most public place it can be, with Neptune, making it even more spiritual. So honestly, for day-to-day stuff, this could just be like a conversation with a coworker about something spiritual. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying you have to. Not everyone wants to do that, but, or just wanting to, something nice, something nice happening at work, some kind of blessings. And remember, because Venus rules the 5th house, this could be like someone you're dating, you guys are seen together, or you go out on a date together, because it's your dating life can become more public at this time. All right, Geminis. All right, we're going to go on now to the next sign, which is going to be our Cancers. Okay. Then we have Cancer. For Cancers, this is happening in your 9th house of the quest, the spiritual path, the things you know, the things you're learning, that you're in the process of knowing, other languages, other countries, astrology, and religion or faith or belief. Okay, so we have Venus ruling your 4th house. So the 4th house ruler in the 9th really gives me the feeling of learning something that makes you feel good inside, learning topics or focusing on absorbing information that is comforting to your soul, that is maybe psychological or spiritual in nature. Okay, so you could just find a good class and be in it. You could be going over stuff you already have from a class you've done and just enjoying it. You could be watching your favorite YouTube channel if you're a spiritual influencer type person. It does have a very spiritual vibe with Venus and Neptune in that ninth house. Now, what else? Okay, what else? And with Jupiter in the 12th too, very much about spirit guides, connection. All this energy is all about God, right? The path to God, the path to your spiritual truth. And it does also have an energy of out there, all the information out there that you're focusing on, or the path toward being the next level of, I don't know, the word mystic comes to mind. That might not be for everyone, but maybe you're going to take mysticism, or maybe you're going to start studying something from a particular mystic that you want to know about or something. Okay, so then what was I going to do? What was I going to say? Gosh, I feel like I just had something. Well, let's just check. Venus also rules the 11th house, which is your community. So your community is in the ninth house. Very much a time of like going to astrology class, or like, online or in person doing some kind of thing where it's a community thing that is about what you believe, or that's about a foreign language, or that's about other countries. And, just focusing a lot on that, because Venus is with the North Node. You might just have a trip going on at this time for some Cancers. If you're not going on a trip at this time, it's kind of like, where are we going in the mind? What are we focusing on in our mental or spiritual world that is going to take us to a higher place? It has that kind of feeling. And yeah, like focusing out toward some new spiritual discipline, or something really nice and easy, right? With the Neptune, I think like Zen Buddhism and stuff, right? Because it's just the path of nonviolence, and I don't even know what all Zen Buddhism has in it, but I definitely know Neptune is very much about that. It just has that vibe of spiritual but ease. Okay, I'm gonna stop there for Cancers. um it's like your spiritual life is kind of lit up on this one, so all about learning and what and not about needing to communicate it to anyone, just being the one who's absorbing either the new experience or the new information. Okay, going on now to Leos. And let me get this. All right, so for Leo, we have the sun in the seventh. Yeah, we have the sun in the seventh, which does mean, that's you. We also have the North Node, Venus, Neptune in the eighth. So really, like the thinning of the veil is the feeling I first get here. So for some Leos, this might be a time where you can connect more to your intuition, connect more psychically. And, it might be a time where, let me think. It might, because the eighth house sometimes is the intimacy with other people. So with Venus, Neptune here, this could be a time where it's maybe, especially if you're a Leo who has maybe met someone new with the sun in the seventh. Not that everyone will, but just the spotlight on others. And then Venus, Neptune here, this could be you just getting to know someone, whether it's romantic or not, getting to know someone on a deeper level and having that ease and that softness, be like that, being able to like connect to someone's soul. And then, yeah, that could just be that. Now, it could also be some other stuff, right? Because Venus rules the third house, so that's siblings. It's your local environment, it's aunts and uncles, and it's your transportation. So some Leos might be looking into car loans or something, but I would be cautious with that with Neptune here. Other Leos might be, and that's not advice. Let me try it. That's not financial advice. With Neptune here, there is a potential. With Neptune, there's always a potential of being deceived. So you don't want to be deceived about the numbers on a contract. That's like the last thing you want. So that's all I'm going to say there. And then again, even with it being like siblings, aunts, and uncles, this could be you um, like just getting to know one of your family better and having like a deep heart to heart conversation with someone. For others, it might actually be interest or loans or other people's money or something like that that's really being focused on. And that might be like debt, paying off debt, or it might be like focusing on how much you're getting back on your, retirement account or something. And then Venus also rules your 10th house. So 10th house ruler in the 8th, that could be somebody at work or a boss or something who is getting to know you better, or maybe they're doing a credit check on you, or they're looking into your background and getting information on you or something. That's a possibility here. It's also a possibility you're just doing more work at this time, because the North Node conjunct Venus is going to, like, the North Node increases the thing or brings more of it, or like it's just the time where you're doing it more and it's your work. So, but it's not just your work at all. The 10th house is like the most public part of your work, the most, depending on what you do, right? Some people do things that aren't very public, but even then, where you go to work at is the public part of your work. So that can be focused on. And it might be really in a positive way, where like some project you're working on or something is, a big focus at this time, and work is a big focus, and it being presentable is a big focus. So okay, so then let me think if there's anything else here. Yeah, I think that's probably good for this one. For others, that third house ruler in the 8th, I feel also could be, if you're someone who like does automatic writing or any kind of channeling or anything like that, or reads tarot or anything, I would say this is a really good time for those activities, because that North Node you just might want to do that more, but also, yeah. So I am going on to the next sign, which is going to be Virgos. Okay, so for Virgos, we have the North Node with Venus and Neptune in the 7th house. And so for some, this could definitely be a relationship thing. And it can be more of a people thing, right? Others thing. And the North Node conjunct Venus being all about moving toward more ease in relationship, more harmony in relationships. And I would say, this might be a time where relationships in general, even now, starting the 18th, are in general more harmonious. If there are any challenges around the 17th, 16th, 17th, 18th with feeling isolated, feeling not a part of, right? Because at this time, I don't have it on the screen, but at this time, there is some Venus is with Saturn, so it's like the potential to enjoy others is there, but it's not being realized. So that's almost like being in a group and you're the one that's alone. So if there's feelings like that at this time, especially around the 16th, 17th, 18th, that might begin to let up, and then like be a lot more positive by this time, early February. And also Venus rules your 2nd house of money. So it could be that Virgos are really money focused at this time and you're just going after it. It could also be a positive financial transit where you're like, the money is coming in or something, right? That's a possibility. It could be not everyone will have like some huge financial increase, but it really could be that like, all right, now the money's coming in, or you get some kind of increase or some kind of temporary financial gain that's like more than normal. Maybe you got some overtime or something, but then we also have that Venus rules that 9th house of God, of spirituality. So especially right around now, right, the 16th, 17th, 18th of January, it's like if you're feeling cut off from spirit, or you're feeling more down about your spiritual path, or you don't feel as good about it or something, or you don't feel as good about your looks right now or something, and that's probably just going to fade gradually until we get to this point. Where now we're getting some of the benefits of Venus, where it's far enough away from Saturn and there's stuff in between. So there's a little buffer here. So it's like, okay, there might be some kind of increase or positive thing that's happening now related to friendships, relationships, money, or spirituality. And it could be all of those things, right? You could have a little financial increase. You could do a little more meditating and just feel like your meditations are on point at this time. And then there could be some other stuff too, right? So it's like that. Now I would say, if you're wanting to watch out for something with the potential deception of Neptune in your seventh house, it's not like everyone you meet lies to you, but they could be. They could be. And so it's like, it's harder to tell who's lying to you. It's going to be harder to have clarity. Okay. You might be more unsure, especially now that Neptune's toward the end of Pisces and the North Node's right there. You might be a little more unsure of your place with people at this time. So Virgos, if you've been feeling that, like you don't know whether you mean this to somebody or you mean this to them, this transit isn't going to help. Sorry, but um, it's going to, it might bring more of the good stuff though. And so maybe they'll be nice to you and you still don't know where you stand, but at least there's more positivity. I think that we're going to have to wait until one, the North Node gets off of Neptune, and two, Neptune goes into Aries to really have a very, very clear picture of where our relationships are. But I always, it's always, you just kind of have to go forward with your intuition the best you can when Neptune's in a sign. So when it comes to other people, just trust your intuition without trusting I don't know how to explain it. The part of you that might be projecting things, right? So we all have a part of us. It's like, oh, that person did this because of that. And it's like, really? Maybe they didn't. Maybe there was some other totally different reason they did that. So being able to kind of take a step back if there's something emotionally charged going on and try to consider from a rational perspective what it is might actually be helpful, because yeah, you have to trust your intuition, but your intuition with Neptune, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because your intuition isn't always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be perfect where Neptune is, because Neptune has the potential it can be other people deceiving us, but it can be us deceiving ourselves about other people, right? Anyone with Neptune in the seventh, ask them. They'll tell you that they will idealize their partner. This is not the only placement that can do that, but just wanting to believe everything's perfect when it isn't. So being more willing at this time to look at the facts and face the reality is actually going to help. It's going to help if you have that tendency to go into la la land with other people. Okay, I think that was enough harsh reality for Virgos. This could be so nice though for like a date or something where it's like enjoying some time with friends. It could just be so nice to just chill and kick back and have things be really easy. That would be the positive side of this transit. All right, going on now to our next sign, which is going to be our Libras. For Libras, we have the North Node Venus Neptune conjunction happening in the sixth house of work, of how we spend our day-to-day time, and how we it's like chores and things like that, pets. So one good possibility for Libras who have pets would be like you get the cutest little pet and you're just like obsessed with them for the moment when you just bring them home or something. Or, there could be something like that going on. But Venus Neptune in that sixth house could also be Libras, sorry. Wait, did I change it? Yes, I did. Sorry, Libras. Libras, enjoying your work, like enjoying your chores, getting to do something you like doing, or listening to music while you're doing it, or bringing some kind of ease to your day to day experiences. Now, Neptune here, Saturn here, one of the things the sixth house does represent is health and like our habits that lead to good or poor health. And Venus here, Neptune here, sometimes you're going to indulge too much, right? Because both of these planets like to enjoy things and don't really like boundaries. And so when that shows up in the sixth house, what is it? It's eating too much sugar and you got a stomach ache or something. But some of you might not be actually a problem. It might just be you are like, I'm really going to enjoy this food. You might be spiritualizing your food and like doing Reiki on your food before you eat it, or doing a prayer over your meal and like trying to be conscious, like conscious eating kind of a thing. That could be going on. Or you could just be at like an amazing experience food wise, right? Because like it's in the sixth house. But the thing is, you're Venus, right? So you are in the sixth house. And when you're in the sixth house, you're working, you're taking care of some kind of work or some kind of responsibility, some kind of chore, something you have to do. But with Neptune here, this could be good or bad, right? The good would be just enjoying it and it's easy. The bad would be that if this feels confusing or chaotic, or because sometimes Neptune will make whatever you're doing a winding road that you meander on, where it's not a straight line. It's like you're going all over, and it's like you're circling back around to different things. Okay, so what else for Libras? Let's see. Venus also rules the eighth house of other people's money, and it's in the sixth house of sometimes problems. So if you rely on, like you rely on your partner's income, this might be a time where that it's like it's challenged, but there's still something good about it, because it's like, oh, it's becoming a problem, but then I get to do all this stuff with it. So it's almost like, I mean, this won't be everyone, right? But like someone gives you money and then they're like, oh, now you owe me, right? So it's like, it's good, but it's a problem. So that's one thing that can be happening. There could but also be some focus on the day-to-day effort required to maintain intimacy in relationships. Now, that can be on a sexual level or not, right? It could be like the intimacy you have with your coworkers in a sense, right? Where it's like knowing someone deeply, knowing someone and trusting them, that kind of thing. And with the sun in the fifth, Uranus in the eighth, there could be things going on with the love life right now, Libra, that I will say for sure. But overall, with this transit, it could honestly be a time where you're really, really enjoying a project, a labor of love you've been working on. You could be creating something visually appealing, something beautiful. You could be creating something artistic that you're working on, or sharpening your skills as they relate to Venus or Neptune type things, like making essential oils or perfumes, or doing music or art, or something with beauty or makeup, where you're just wanting to get better at it. And that's that focus, right? The North Node in the sixth is like, I want to make my habits better. I don't want to focus on my spiritual life right now. I want to make the world better. I want to make myself better. That's what you're coming into. And with Venus there, it's like there's this allure, or there's enjoyment in the process of becoming something, or sharpening the axe of your skill set. So that's what I have for Libras. Let's go on now to Scorpio. All right. Okay, so for Scorpios, we have the North Node, Venus, Neptune in the fifth house. That's the fun house. So this could just be, I just think of all these crazy wild adventures Scorpios might be having during this time. because it does kind of feel like a date, a really nice date, or some fun or something else pleasurable, right? Because Venus is the planet of pleasure. It's in the house of pleasure and it's in its exaltation. It has the North Node making it more. So more pleasure, but Neptune here kind of does feel like this might be a time Scorpios are just trying to numb out. They're trying to cope. They're trying to, drink into oblivion. I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't. Some of you know I got sober when I was young. But I do feel like, yeah, this might, and it might not be drinking, right? There's lots of ways a person could feel pleasure, and it could be any of those. Now, for some, if you're a Scorpio who's like an artist or something, you do any kind of visual art or you do any kind of, um, music or writing or anything artistic like that, anything creative, this might be a time where you're just diving into that side of the self. And the fifth house is really like the creation of the thing for the purpose of being like, yeah, I made that. It's not about the audience on this one, right? It's about like, I made this beautiful thing. You get into the flow of the creation of making the thing. So there's that for that. Now, for Scorpio, Venus rules the 12th house and it also rules the 7th house. So the 7th ruler in the 5th is very much more of like a relationship or a dating kind of thing, usually, because it's like, yeah, it just kind of makes it about that. So some Scorpios could again have a really nice date, but you need to make sure you don't get catfish because Neptune's there. Okay, and that can go either way. Just like really doing what you need to do to make sure that whatever the person is presenting is authentic and really, you know, however that looks. Because Venus is making it easier to flirt right now, and Neptune's making it easier to be deceived. And then Jupiter in the eighth is making it better to get to know people deeply. I wouldn't say Scorpios, you have to watch out, it's horrible. But that would be the thing I would be cautious of on this one is if you just meet someone and they seem too good to be true, they might be, they might be. So if someone seems like they're not who they say they are, maybe listen to that feeling. If they tell you something, sometimes, because sometimes with Neptune, it's like, why do we get deceived? It's because we didn't want to see the truth, right? So if you want that person to lie to you and tell you you're the only one, this is the day to go for it. Because sometimes we do crave that sort of deception in a way. Okay, enough about that. But then the 12th ruler being in the 5th can also just be enjoying spiritual things, enjoying psychological things. Again, like even just watching a psychological movie might be what this actually is, where it takes you to that psychological place and it's really enjoyable. So it really does kind of feel for Scorpio like a lot of this is going to be just Scorpio doing something they really enjoy, and that might just be what it is. Okay, so let's go on now to our next sign, which is the Sagittariuses. All right, for Sagittarius, we have let's go. I guess it's fine, but hold on. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. North Node, Venus, Neptune in the 4th, house of home, house of feeling okay in your own skin, house of privacy. Okay, so Venus going through the 4th is a time where you can have more enjoy your alone time or enjoy things that you like to do by yourself or enjoy things that have an emotional undertone like journaling or watching videos on emotional topics or focusing on home, right? Focusing on home. So it could be like you get a thing for your house that's like pretty, or you get an essential oil diffuser, or you get candles, or you get something else that makes you enjoy the senses in your home, particularly your bedroom. I wasn't trying to be creepy there, but that just got weird. Okay, so Venus in the fourth can also be, it can give you this sort of ability to enjoy self realization to the point where maybe it's not always healthy when you have it by natally, depends, but you can really love and just really, really enjoy understanding yourself, understanding your emotions, understanding the emotions of other people when Venus is going through this house. So it can bring, just that temporary desire to connect with your own feelings. And sometimes too, I think the fourth house can help us connect with others because you're able to like go to the deepest place with another person, the deepest place of their soul. You're able to sometimes connect with them on that level when this transit is happening. Now, with the North Node here in the fourth, you are probably going to care about how you feel and what is aligned and what feels like the right path, not necessarily with the South Node up in there in the 10th, wanting to be a time where you want to sacrifice for some image or some outer success. Maybe you want your inner world to feel good right now. And maybe there's some reprioritization going on for Sagittarius since like mid-January, since the North Node entered that fourth house of going, do I feel okay inside? What in my life is taking me away from being the person who I know I really am? And what in my life is bringing me to being who I really am? And that might be the focus here. And then with Venus ruling your 11th house of community and ruling your 6th house of work, chores, things you have to do, it's going to be a combination here of number one, your community possibly being more positive. It's almost like though maybe there was something holding it back around mid-January when Venus was at that conjunction with Saturn, where it's like there's a sense of community, but it's blocked. There's a sense of connection to others, but it's not, it's slow. It's not quite, it's almost like being in a room full of people, you can't talk to any of them, right? So there's a feeling of community being an important thing, but that there maybe was something isolating mid-month. Now, Venus is far enough away from Saturn, that isolation may have dissolved a bit. And now we're connecting with people in the community who make us feel good. Maybe we have some kind of dinner party around this first. Maybe there's friends over. Maybe we have friends over. Maybe we have people in town for a visit. Something that brings pleasure and connection. Maybe you talk to a friend on the phone or a few people on the phone and it's like that connection is there. Sorry. So it's like the connection is there. And then with Neptune, the connection is there and it just adds this element of ease. Like it's easy to connect with people or it's easy to feel connected or feel nurtured or feel like the people around you are somehow good. You might, and Venus being in Pisces might be the people around you, the community you're around. Maybe they're good. Maybe it's not you. I don't mean you're not good, but it might be more like you're in an experience of positive things that are happening with people around you in the community you're in. Maybe the community you're in is there doing some art. Maybe the community you're in is just thriving. And it might not necessarily be just you. It might be both of those things. Okay. And then with Venus being the 6th house ruler in the 4th, it's kind of like doing chores at home, but somehow we're like really, really loving them. We're doing your self-development work at home. We're doing your meditation at home, your day-to-day things you have to do, being able to focus on them. So there could also be a focus on working from home at this time for some. Okay, going on now to the Capricorns. Oh, okay. Lisa says I found the video about Saturn problems. We'll check it out. Cool. All right. Okay. Oh, I need to put the thing on for Capricorn. Okay. Capricorn, Venus, North Node, Neptune in the third house. So, yeah, so for Capricorn, the North Node entering the third kind of does bring a focus on your day to day physical life, your chores, your environment, your commute, your physical stuff you do every day. And Venus in the third will bring ease to that, to communications, make it easier to communicate what you know, even though Saturn's here kind of forcing or encouraging a look at how you communicate and or a look at how you see things. And sometimes when Saturn's in the third, you might find that you are a little bit more, you're a little bit more, I want to say, I'm trying to find the word, strict with your time. And that could be because you're choosing to do that or because some outer circumstances force you to do that. But then with Venus Neptune here, that element of, okay, I'm strict with my time is still there, but Venus Neptune can bring an easier time with your time. Almost like you have your time in blocks, and maybe one of the blocks you get to do something fun instead because it got canceled or something. It almost gives me the feeling of like you're a doctor. You're a busy doctor and all your appointments got canceled for the day. That is a metaphor. Just take what resonates, okay? These are general readings. But imagine, just think about what things are in your day-to-day schedule, what blocks are there naturally as far as blocks of time. Maybe around this time, there'll be something is canceled or something that you've blocked out for something enjoyable. Now, Venus rules the fifth house of fun, and it also rules the 10th house of career and work. So you might just be working more at this time. You might also be having more fun. You might be enjoying. It's almost like a going to a concert vibe to me, of like that fifth house being your fun, and then like the North Node in the third being about focusing on more on what you're saying or what you're teaching or what you're learning or something, or a change to those areas. And then, Venus, Neptune, you could just be enjoying learning something around the 1st of February, where it's like you just love the new class you started taking, or you just love this online group you joined, or you just love this place in your neighborhood, this new restaurant you keep stopping by, or something else like that. Like it really might just be something enjoyable pops up in your environment that is just nice. So other things that can be happening for Capricorn with Venus going through that third house is going to be at work, a focus on what's being communicated, especially around like almost like that increasing until around the 1st, that focus on what's being communicated. All right, going on now to Aquarius. For Aquarius, let me change the little thing. Okay, so for Aquarius, we have your second house being about Venus, North Node, Neptune. And the second house being Venus, North Node, Neptune. Venus in the second might be a good money one, right? Because it's like bringing more money or enjoying your money. So sometimes though, when planets are in your second house, it's not always going to be you got more money. It could be you're spending more money. It could be you are enjoying your things more. Like you have this dresser and then you did something to it and now it's like polished up and now it's like the best dresser ever, or something else that you have that you enjoy that you're like, it's like a really nice, that the things are nice or the things are focused on, right? Because the second house is our stuff and it's our money. So it could be that you're putting money, you're trying to exalt your money, you're putting it in a bank account where it gets more interest, or you're doing something with your money. It could be money comes in a little bit more easily during this week or something, but it might not just be that. It might be you were going to buy something. Now, if you are making money, you know, with Venus being the ninth house ruler, it kind of makes me feel like some of you, it's not making money. Some of you, it might be like trying to take spiritual concepts and apply it to money, or trying to take a house and sell it, or trying to take something about in your home and like sell it, or taking something in your home and trying to make it be its most valuable, right? So that's like I I don't know why the only thing I can think of is a chandelier. I know a lot of people don't have those, but it's almost like you dust off the chandelier, you dust off the crystal, you polish something, you do something to exalt your things, you're holding them up, you're putting the trophy up, you're putting the best vase on the shelf with the good lighting so it just gets highlighted, right? So highlighting something beautiful in the home or highlighting something beautiful with your possessions might be happening for Aquarius, but it may not be that. It might be because Venus rules your fourth house of home. So it could just be family matters are going well and they're good right now. It could simply be that. It could be if you are selling a house, maybe you get it on the market or something's positive there. But it could also be because Venus rules that ninth house of travel. Maybe you're booking tickets. Maybe you're booking a trip at this time. Maybe you're planning the vacation or you're budgeting it or something. So it could be any of that stuff or all of that stuff. There could be good things happening with money, just kind of depending on which Aquarius you are on that. So then going on now to Pisces. And for Pisces, Venus, North Node, Neptune is going to be in the first house, which is you. So Neptune kind of is you, right? Jupiter is you also. And then Venus represents your, your eighth house and your third house. So Venus for you is other people, that eighth house of other people's money or intimacy with other people. And then the third house of just the people in your day-to-day life, your friends who you see, who stop by your house or you stop by the local, bar or whatever you go to. Okay. So crystal shop, whatever. All right. So then Venus being the first is like, it's your neighborhood being a focus in your life, your people being a focus in your life. They're around the 1st of February. And, for some Pisces, Venus going through your first house, they say this is the time of year where you feel the most beautiful. Like if you were going to, man or woman, right? If you were going to do a photo shoot, sometimes people schedule those when Venus crosses the ascendant because it's like you're the most pretty. You're the most good looking at that time of year. Now, of course, there's other things going on with that. That's not always like, I wouldn't live and die by that. But with Venus in the first, so that might mean you are your most good looking at this moment. But it could also be in the moment of like the 1st of February, but it could also be that you are focusing on Venus things in your appearance, your hair, your makeup, your face, your beauty, your look, right? Man or woman, whatever you do to make yourself look a certain way, you might be really focused on what you look like at this time. Now that could go many different ways just because it's a general reading, right? But for the day-to-day average person, it's just simply maybe you got your hair done, maybe you got a new, jacket or something. But focusing on creating that aesthetic with your body, that's kind of the focus as the first house rules the body. You can be your most attractive. So if you're single, I would say flirt. Go out and flirt because you might look your best at this time. But Venus goes beyond just the physical allure and goes to the more charm as well, right? So Venus can also be charming. Venus can be lovely and sociable. So Venus being the eighth house ruler and the third house ruler, this could be you being very sociable at this time. You can be, and for those of you, I know not everyone on here, like some of you are going to be like, I'm an introvert. You can still, there's still a level of social, whatever your regular social is, this is a little bit more. So if your regular social is never talk to anyone, go talk to a person. Talk to one person, right? If your regular social is, oh, I'm a social butterfly, this is a time you can either do it more or you could do it better, right? You could do it in a way that is more enjoyable to you or to others. And with Neptune conjunct that Venus and having it be in the first house, if you need to make an impression or give off a certain vibe, and it's like you really have to stretch to give off that vibe, this might be the time to do it. This might be the time to give off a certain feeling or to just like, especially if it's like you want to make a commercial. I know all these Pisces are like, I'm not making a commercial. This would be the time to make a commercial because it's like the ability to just make someone feel a certain way and like give off this certain image is pretty strong with these two. Now, something that could be more challenging here with the eighth house and the third house. Well, maybe there's some confusion about how to pay off debt or how to navigate a financial situation. If that's the case, you'll probably be able to at least get the information you need in a few days. I would think that if there's if there's an insurance issue or something at this time, it might be more confusing right now at this moment. And I would just wait till Venus enters Pisces, where it's no longer with Neptune. Neptune makes it a winding path. So it's almost like you call the insurance company and they tell you to call someone else, and that person tells you to call the insurance company. Right? It's that kind of experience of just going down this winding road of something related to other people's money, but also could be related to money, insurance, stuff like that. But it could be something more about a car, a vehicle, buying a vehicle, making interest payments, or even something that is like, I'm trying to think of what this would be. Even something with like there's a detour in your environment, you end up driving all over, right? Because the third house is our local environment. So your local environment becomes deceptive or confusing. So that's the only thing I can think of. There can be other ways your local environment becomes confusing. It could be that a bunch of people are smoking weed and it's just like the smell, or like something else that makes that vibe of your local environment. Like I remember when I was in Korea and they would have this Oktoberfest or something like that, and there was just drunk people in the streets. They would just like fill the streets with drunk people going to party. Well, most Pisces are not going through that right now. That's kind of the feeling I get, is like maybe there is some kind of party or festival near you and that creates a certain amount of confusion or something, or a little bit of confusion about something going on with your local neighborhood. May not even be a thing. For some, it might not be that big of a deal. Although one of the things for Pisces I think could be happening here with this eighth house ruler in the first might be like your psychic ability becoming more of a part of you, your psychic senses, your intuition being really strong during these few days. Or you being like, it's all I want to do is read tarot for a couple of days, where that North Node creates that desire. And with Venus there, it's acting upon the eighth house topics. Now, if you have another eighth house topic that's active in your life, then it could be that thing too. Like if you're obsessed with some kind of weird ass obsession, like serial killers, or like you have some niche interest that's like totally off the mainstream, or anything related to the afterlife, anything, taboo sexual going on, anything with sex, death, other people's money. Yeah, like serial killers, getting really, don't think that like because I said death, like this means someone will die. I don't predict that on general readings or even in private ones, but also just this is like this topic becoming important in your life. What am I going to do when I die? What are angels? You know, it could be something more positive. With Neptune, it's more positive. It's like, what's heaven? How do we go to heaven? What's a near death experience? What do these people say? You know, just like kind of being fascinated with one of those topics, I think is more likely at this time. So that's what I have for Pisces. And yeah, oh, oops, I just realized I didn't move I didn't move this little thing for Pisces. So my apologies on that. And I do want to remind everyone that there is also the Blocks of Blessings reading. There is a link in the description for that if you'd like to get in on that. It does end at a certain date. So if you want to get yours, you can do that. And all right, so that is what I have for this video. Again, if you want more, check out the video on the North and South Node. I think a lot of you will like that one because it tells you more about how those influences can play out. And because the nodes just changed on the 11th, I think it's nice to watch that stuff a little bit after the transit because you have something you can look back on and see in the last 7 days, has this actually changed? So even if you're watching this video now closer to February, this is a good time to go back and watch the North Node entering Virgo and Pisces video because we've had a little bit of time in the energy to kind of connect with what really is resonating. Because believe it or not, astrology is not fortune telling. I know a lot of us think it is, but it's like the best astrology is when you look back and see what happened in your life 10, 12 years ago to see what's going to happen next. Because that's really the best, most validated way to do it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye.